What's up guys, it's Tommy here and welcome to the Manchester City Wolves post-match analysis video, and we will talk about Manchester United's defeat and their dreadful form in this video as well, and Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. But first let's talk about the title race, and Manchester City are now 8 points behind Liverpool after just 8 games. This is unthinkable. I don't think anybody expected this to happen. I mean, it's very rare that one team wins all 8 games in a row at the start of any season, no matter what league it is, but especially the Premier League, which is so competitive. So huge credit goes out to Jurgen Klopp, to the Liverpool players, everybody. I think it's an incredible achievement. But I think it's very, very early in the season, and it's very premature to say that it's Liverpool's title to lose and Man City have bottled it. I think those claims are wide of the mark. I mean, we are only at the beginning of October. You have to put it into perspective. Liverpool can and will drop a lot of points, but what gives me confidence is at the moment Man City have a lot of issues. The main issue, in my opinion, is their injuries. They have Benjamin Mendy in and out of the side, but the main injury I think was Laporte, their best centre-back, and also them not replacing Company. I think Guardiola now regrets it, even though he probably won't say that publicly. Privately, I think Pep Guardiola will know they missed the mark. They have 3 centre-backs plus Fernandinho who can play there, but he's not an original centre-back. And I think Otamendi is a decent player, but he's not on the same level as John Stones, Laporte, or he was miles away from the same level of Company. Man City losing Vincent Kompany, and not only his quality on the pitch, but his qualities off the pitch. He was a leader. He was a very charismatic guy. He was an absolute legend at Manchester City, one of their first real, true legends who won many, many trophies, including 4 Premier League titles. And now their defense look really, really vulnerable. And I have to actually give an enormous amount of credit to Wolves, who didn't go to Manchester City like a scared team. Many teams who go to Man City are too afraid to attack, too afraid to open the game up a little bit, and too afraid to actually try and test Manchester City's defense. But Wolves have a lot of courage, and I think they turned the corner recently after not winning their first 6 games in the Premier League. They won in the Europa League, they won before in the Premier League, and now they go to Manchester City, and they actually, from the first minute, they tried to attack the Man City backline, who also made a lot of mistakes. And even the Man City midfielders sometimes did wayward passes, and Wolves were in many times. Actually, Wolves could have scored 4 goals today, honestly, because before their 2 goals in the last 10 minutes of the game, in the first half, Wolves had very good chances. Raúl Jiménez was one-on-one with Ederson, and he falls over expecting a penalty. It wasn't given. Probably it wasn't strong enough contact for it to be a penalty. But I think Man City were also unlucky, because at 0-0 they had a couple of shots. David Silva hit the bar with a free kick, and also a couple of shots where Aguero, of all people, blocks actually another Man City player's shot going in. I think there was Raheem Sterling who hit a Man City player. I think it was Aguero, and then it was another Man City shot which hit Aguero. So yes, it was unlucky for Manchester City, but also Wolves played really well. They gave Man City one hell of a proper game, and in the last 10 minutes they hit Man City on the counter. Adama Traore, who is a lightning fast player without the killer instinct. I think this is the game that makes him as a player. To go to the Etihad and to score 2 goals and win the game in the last 10 minutes, where normally Man City dominate the opposition and win those games, those tight games in the last 10 minutes. I think it's a huge victory and a huge boost of confidence for Adama Traore, who actually doesn't have a great goal-scoring record in the Premier League. Last season, he scored just 1 goal in 29 games in the Premier League. That shows that his end product is a little bit lacking. But this season, I mean, what are the odds? He goes to Man City and scores 2 goals, absolutely brilliant. And I think now Manchester City have to be worried. I think they will spend in January, they will probably sign a centre-back, but them missing Kevin De Bruyne, also Aguero was a little bit off form. He couldn't really get into those goal-scoring positions that he normally goes in. And I think Man City missed Laporte, they missed Kompany's leadership at the back. Otamendi, he is sometimes such a clown of a defender. I'm sorry to say it like this, but I think he's nowhere near good enough to play for Manchester City. But at the moment, he is their only fit centre-back because John Stones is also out. And I think Guardiola didn't want to play the youngsters. I think they have like a 19-year-old defender, Garcia, but that would have been a big risk. Fernandinho and Otamendi is a partnership which averages around 70 to 75 points if you extrapolate the win ratio to a full season, and that's a decent top 4 finish, but it's nowhere near the title winning form that Manchester City have showed last season. Even the Otamendi-John Stones partnership, centre-back partnership, I think they showed it on Monday Night Football, that averages around 70 to 75 points during a season, and that's not title winning form. At the moment, Man City average 2 points per game in the Premier League this season, and that average is just about a top 4 finish. Of course, we shouldn't expect this to continue. I think that Man City will get stronger as they get their injured players back. When John Stones comes back, Kevin De Bruyne will be back after the international break, and I think he is the key player for Manchester City. When Kevin De Bruyne plays, Man City look an even better side than they are. And I mean, last season they won the title with 98 points and Kevin De Bruyne missed like 90% of the season or 85% of the season. So I think Man City can cope definitely without Kevin De Bruyne. But this was just the perfect storm for Wolves. I think Man City maybe was a little bit overconfident, and also they lacked a little bit of a sharpness, the killer instinct. And I think the pressure was on them, absolutely. And the Man City players are human. They can feel the pressure like anybody else. And I think that them losing a little bit of focus is very, very good for Liverpool in the title race. And the pressure was on them because Liverpool put incredible 17 games winning run in a row. And Man City have to take notice of that, and they probably are wondering where will Liverpool drop points, because Liverpool go to Manchester United next, and Man United are in their worst run of the last 30 years. They lost another game away to struggling Newcastle United, who were in the relegation zone before today. And Newcastle actually beat Manchester United pretty comfortably. Absolutely incredible scenes in the Premier League. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, it looks like after him winning his first 11 of the first 12 games of him in charge of Manchester United, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer now is facing the sack. It's that serious now. I mean, Man United have 9 points from 8 games. That's almost relegation form. That's like fighting against relegation. They are 2 points ahead of Everton, who are the top of the relegation zone. I mean, this is just the perfect weekend for the Liverpool fans. Everton lost, Man United lost, Man City lost, Liverpool won with a last minute penalty, and we are 8 points clear in the Premier League. I don't think we should get carried away, but I'm incredibly optimistic about the title race now. I have to be, because this Liverpool team looks like a complete team, and I think we can win ugly. We can win in many different ways, and that is the ways of championship winning teams. And last season actually Liverpool played like champions. The reason why they didn't win the championship, the Premier League, is that we just faced an incredible Manchester City side. But any other season, Liverpool would have won the Premier League before this Guardiola Manchester City incredible machine came along. But they are vulnerable. They have some key players like David Silva, Aguero, who are aging, who are getting the wrong side of 30, and they have some games where they are a little bit off color. Aguero wasn't at his absolute best today. David Silva was very good today. He was very unlucky with that free kick. But I think that this Manchester City side can be vulnerable without 3 or 4 key players. What Liverpool have to do is try to keep all their players fit and try to just keep plugging away, take each game as it comes, so win that, put even more pressure on Manchester City, and let's see what happens. But I'm very, very optimistic and looking forward to the rest of the Premier League title race. But let's talk about Manchester United and Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, because even David De Gea, their goalkeeper, admitted after the match that this is their worst time since he has been at the club. He has been at Man United for what, like 7 or 8 years, a very long time. And this is the absolute worst Manchester United team that I have ever seen, and I've been watching football, Premier League football, since 2000. So I think that this Man United team is in deep trouble. I can honestly not see them finishing in the top 6. Leicester, Arsenal, Chelsea are way better than Man United. Let's not even compare Man United to Man City or Liverpool. I mean, Liverpool are 15 points ahead of Manchester United after 8 games. That's incredible. That means that on average we actually, Man United average almost 1 point per game, and Liverpool of course won all their games so far. So on average, every single round we got ahead of Man United by 2 points. Every single game week. It's just mind-blowing. They spent almost as much money as Manchester City in the past like 5, 6, 7 years. Since Sir Alex Ferguson left Manchester United, they have spent an incredible amount of money, but they spent on the wrong players, they have the wrong structure. The Glazers and also their director of football is responsible, or maybe the lack of the director of football, and I think it's Ed Woodward. He is responsible for the commercial activities and transfers. They are mostly the responsible for this mess, because Man United are in an absolute mess, and I can't see them fixing this unless the whole structure is changed, because sacking Ole Gunnar Solskjaer and bringing in another manager won't solve anything. Because if one of the best managers in world football, Jose Mourinho, said that one of the greatest achievements of his was finishing second with Manchester United, and after he left, you can see what an absolute disaster of a team Man United is. And Jose Mourinho was right in that statement. So I think that unless a massive structural overhaul and structural change happens at Manchester United, they are going nowhere. They won't finish in the top 4 for the foreseeable future, even if they sack Ole Gunnar Solskjaer and bring in another manager and buy a lot of players. The people who are responsible for the transfers, those are the kind of people that Manchester United have to change. They need a director of football, they need probably different owners, but at least a director of football who is coming from football, who is a football expert. Ed Woodward is a financial guy. He shouldn't be making football decisions. He can't spot a great talented player. I mean, would you put your accountant into, or your marketing like head of business, would you put him in charge of transfers at your favorite club? Of course not. I mean, it doesn't make any sense. And Man United is a mess. That's the bottom line. I just wanted to give my thoughts, and I'm loving it. I have to be honest, as a Liverpool fan, this gives me great joy. But what gives me even more joy is seeing Liverpool win 8 games in a row at the start of the Premier League. What a season we are about to have. Very, very excited about the rest of the season. Thanks for watching, guys. Hope you enjoyed this. See you later. Goodbye.